Hello, welcome to JoyNews Today. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. I am Amiesi Nyamiche Thompson. We're live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. This afternoon, Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council asks Metropolitan, Municipal and District Assemblies in mining areas to strictly comply with local government guidelines and approved statutory fees following fresh allegations that some district assemblies reportedly charge about 10,000 Ghana cedis per excavator in some mining communities. With details as JoyNews hosts a national dialogue convening top stakeholders, including government officials, to deliberate on illegal mining following a latest hotline documentary, A Tax for Galamsey, today.
Bring together the finest brains around illegal mining, environmental protection, the security issues around illegal mining, the governance issues around illegal mining, the people who went undercover to do this documentary.
Also, opposition New Patriotic Party optimistic it will snatch the Ayawasu East constituency seat from governing National Democratic Congress.
The New Patriotic Party is on the ground. We are engaging with the people of Ayawasu.
We're more from NPP's Director of Elections, Evans Nemako, and commuters lament poor nature of Kwabenya Brekusu Kitasi Road in today's edition of Roads of Peril.
All we can do is just plead with the government to just come on our aid. You could see there's a school bus coming, it's carrying 2 children.
These plus business, sports, world news and showbiz in this bulletin. Don't go away. Now we start with news on illegal mining. The Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council is asking metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies in mining areas to strictly comply with local government guidelines and approved statutory fees. This follows reports that illegal mining activities perpetrated in some mining communities are aided by stickers from assemblies. Our checks reveal the Upper Denture East Assembly, for instance, charges 10,000 cedis per excavator for equipment largely used in illegal mining activities in Dunkwa. Now, at a meeting chaired by Ashanti Regional Minister Dr. Frank Amwakohene, the RCC detailed that fee fixing by assemblies must strictly comply with local government guidelines and approved statutory processes. 2. All existing bylaws relating to fees and levies must be submitted to the RCC for review and validation. Also, revenue mobilization and tax forces are to issue stickers only to legally registered entities, equipment, vehicles, or premises. 4. Assemblies are required to request and verify business registration certificates, licenses and permits from any entity seeking to register equipment, vehicles or businesses to operate within their jurisdictions, with particular emphasis on mining, quarry and sun-winning operators. Now let's speak to Pakwesi Shandov. He's the Media Relations Officer for the Lands Ministry, and also Darryl Bosu, Deputy Executive Director for Arocha Ghana. And let me start with Pakwesi. So with these measures, does it form part of the investigations that the ministry was undertaking?
Right. So I indicated yesterday that beyond the investigations that have accordingly begun, government is also working around the clock to reform some of the regulatory policies, governing the oversight responsibility of the MMDAs. And so this one clearly ties into it. Indeed, there is more that is to come, but what should finally, put this matter to rest will be the outcome of the investigative process that has accordingly begun. And I want to use the platform to once again stress that in the entirety of the investigative process, if it becomes apparent that there has been any form of wrongdoing, the sector minister has reiterated that nobody will be spared in that particular regard.
What are the monetary mechanisms to ensure compliance?
Well, so first off, like we have always been indicating, the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat is the body that has been mandated to fight the menace of illegal mining. The Amansia Central District actually happens to be one of the flashpoints where illegal mining is very prominent. Indeed, moments ago, we had reports that despite the expose, apparently illegal mining activities are still ongoing in that particular enclave. The next move that government is considering as part of the nationwide permanent deployment of NIMOS personnel is for that district to be an area of key concern. So basically, all I am saying is that very soon there's going to be 24/7 uninterrupted NIMOS deployment in that particular area to ensure that the issues there are kept in the bud.
So these measures, are they constricted to just the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council, or it's also, going to be replicated across the country?
Absolutely. It's going to be a widespread replication because there are 16 administrative regions in the country. We all know that. But out of the 16, 6 are very principal when it comes to the menace of illegal mining. Vis-a-vis, you are looking at, of course, foremostly the Ashanti region,
right,
the western north region, the central, the eastern, and then some parts of the northern enclaves of the country. All of these areas, for the fact that illegal mining significantly happens there, they are all parts of the catchment areas where these policies would affect.
And with the investigations ongoing, these district chief executives, are they still at post? Or they've been asked to, leave until the investigations are over?
Well, as of now, there's no directive for them to vacate their current positions. But we want to, regardless, communicate that their presence, they being at post now, would not in any way interfere with the ongoing proceedings. Of course, I've read comments, and to a very large extent, we appreciate those concerns, how that a person who is now a subject of investigation should not be at post because it has the potential of diluting the credibility of the process. But the assurance, once again, is that if you look at the structure of the entire investigative process, there would not be any compromise or, if you like, any dilution of the whole process. It's going to be credible, and the outcome will be one that will satisfy the entirety of Ghanaians in line with accountability principles.
Before I go to Darrell, I want to ask you, in the event that these measures are not complied with, are there sanctions?
Absolutely, there are sanctions. Look, the President of the Republic, John Dramani Mahama, has had cause to say that any appointee who is caught in any illegal mining affair would be strongly dealt with. The Sector Minister has reiterated the same thing. Honorable Amakofi-Boa has been parroting the same message over and over again. And it's beyond the words. If you would indulge me, we all know that much recently, the NDC's third national vice chairman, as well as the party's national organizer, all became subjects of interest in an ongoing investigation. Of course, they separately and categorically denied their involvement. But the message here is very clear that if the ruling government, the government of the day, can, under the circumstances, go after its own people, then clearly nobody will be spared. So if any of the regulations that we are rolling out, if any of them is breached willfully or otherwise, whoever is responsible for that will be promptly dealt with.
Right. Now let me speak to Deputy Executive Director, Arocha Ghana, Darrell Bosu. So Darrell, these are the measures laid, for the, at least we know of the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council. Are these enough to uproot that canker instilled in the district assemblies facilitating illegal mining?
Thank you very much. I must say that the challenge we have now is not about whether the assembly is charging fees for excavators or chanfans. The challenge with the assembly is the fact that they are failing to ensure that the equipment they license are being used for the right purposes and not engaging in illegal activity. So to give this directive to the assemblies and not ensuring that the assemblies really now take steps to monitor and really deter illegal activities that promote Galamsey, then we will have a problem. So it is not enough. We must do more. And until the assembly start actively monitoring and pursuing and making sure that people engaged in illegal activities are not able to work, despite the fact that they've been given the license, particularly for the equipment. Because if you look at the fees and fines system of the assembly, which is meant to help them generate internal revenue, it is only for equipment and for services that are provided. It does not really categorically say whether the service is illegal or not. It is then the responsibility of the assembly to monitor and make sure I gave you a license for your excavator. What are you doing with it? So it is not enough to come up with all these directives without putting in place the mechanisms to then deter and actually make it impossible for people who have paid fees for an excavator to use it for illegal activity. We need to see beyond just the narrative of say, do this, do that, to actually enforcement and monitoring on the ground.
Well, we've heard the president time and over again saying on the issue of deterrence that if he catches any of his officials engaged in illegal mining, that will be the end of their time in office. But we are yet to see this. You think with these measures coming up, will the president be committed to doing so?
I think we need to get to a point where when the presidency or the government says they're investigating certain people, we need to come to a conclusion of all of these investigations. I mean, the Parkwesi did mention about some members of the NDC party rank and file who were the subject of investigation. I don't think that we got to a conclusion to those investigations. And we have also had cause to talk about some other persons who have been reported. And now if you go to certain districts and communities, community members are talking about constituency persons, even some police people involved in illegal mining, but we are not really seeing active investigations going on to really come to the conclusion of these matters. I only wish that for this matter, we get to a conclusion and the necessary pronouncement and also the necessary deterrent measures are put in place. It is indeed some of the key KPIs for the assemblies or the MMDCs to ensure that they do not engage and facilitate Galamsey. What I see happening here right now is their system is kind of facilitating Galamsey, but maybe they themselves are not participating. But the system is set up such that it facilitates Galamsey by the absence of monitoring and deterrence.
Right.
And we should look beyond just saying that they themselves are part. It should be an issue of whether their system setup is facilitating. So I think we have a lot of work to do. And this is the biggest challenge with the whole fight against Galamsey. We have 9 months being made the main sole responsibility to have boots on the ground, but the systems and mechanisms of the district assembly or the decentralized system that can be very supportive are not working in tandem. So we see one hand doing the right thing, and another hand also taking away all the good work that is being done, which is definitely a big problem.
Right. Thank you so much, Dara Bosu, Deputy Executive Director, Arusha, Ghana, sharing his views on these latest directives from the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council. Well, later tonight, JoyNews National Dialogue on Illegal Mining will take place right here in the studio at 6 p.m. sequel to our latest hotline documentary, A Tax for Galamsey. This dialogue will bring together key stakeholders to discuss the documentary's findings. Kwekwe Superprice Channel Manager.
Bring together the finest brains around illegal mining, environmental protection, the security issues around illegal mining, the governance issues around illegal mining, the people who went undercover to do this documentary, and we would have frank conversations around the pretense about whoever is supposed to manage illegal mining, how we've managed it so far, what is missing in the maze of the dialogue, and what ought to be done.
Well, away from that, players in the cocoa sector are on edge to know how the John Mahama government seeks to turn Ghana's ailing cocoa sector around. In the much-anticipated announcement from the finance minister, the woes of the sector reached a peak in the last few weeks as farmers threatened action over government's inability to buy their produce or even pay them. A situation industry watchers say may affect cocoa production in the coming years. First, listen to President of the Licensed Cocoa Buyers Association, Samuel Edimado, on how the delay in purchasing is affecting farmers.
matter is that we owe the banks more than the farmers. Of course, the farmers are major principal actors. So obviously, once we owe farmers, and any of them, irrespective of their number, making noise, we need to address that. And we needed to set the record straight. Setting the record straight because our principal financiers, that's the banks that we have borrowed money from, we need to also indicate that we have not Nicodemously, let me put it this way, gone for the money from Cocoa Board, and then we have refused not to pay them.
So, but Cocoa Board also owes you money.
Yes, that is Cocoa Board is our principal.
How much you know?
To go specific to the figures, as you know, some have indicated 10 billion, and
10 billion what?
Ghana cedis, and CE indicated that it's around 11 billion. Now, let me also use this opportunity to indicate that it is not only this current season. Some of our members, 2025-26, 2 years ago, have not been paid. And on this channel, I indicated that to the tune of $185 million. They've not been paid. We haven't come out to raise any issues. So the situation is more complex.
So Cocoa Board must find between 10 and 11 billion.
Correct, as the issues are.
Well, Caleb Ziblim is with our research desk. He's here to explain some figures to us. Caleb, you're welcome. So what are we expecting, in this cabinet, not cabinet though, the finance minister is going to give us some, figures or some solutions to the problem there about later this afternoon. But what should we look out for?
So I think we have to understand why we are in the current situation. Mm-hmm. So a few years ago, I think about 2 or 3 years ago, cocoa prices started rising rapidly.
Right.
From about $2,000 per metric ton, mm-hmm. we went to highs of $12,000 per metric ton. Mm. And this sharp rise was because Ghana was not meeting our cocoa production targets. Galamsey, some diseases, and then bad weather conditions meant that production could not meet demand.
Right.
So once you have low production and you have the same demand, prices go up. So this is why prices went up to about $12,000 per metric ton. Mm-hmm. Last year, Ghana was benefiting from this because we increased production and prices still remain where they were.
Right.
And also because we lost production numbers, Cocoa Board could not secure the syndicated loan because before you can get syndication, you need to prove to buyers that you have cocoa to sell.
Right.
Because we didn't have enough cocoa to meet the targets and we were already owing about 300,000 metric tons, mm-hmm. It was very difficult to secure syndication. Now, without syndication, it means Cocoa Board itself does not have money to buy from farmers. This meant that the off-takers, or those in different countries, mostly in Europe, provided the LBCs here in Ghana with capital to go and buy the cocoa beans from farmers. So our Cocoa Board was out of the picture. Mm-hmm. Now, we are in this problem because world market price of cocoa has been falling. Mm-hmm. Ghana's farm gate price about $5,000 per ton. Currently, cocoa price is $3,000.
$3,000, yes.
So no foreign buyer is going to
buy a more expensive bean.
Exactly. So now the money is not coming from the foreign buyers to the LBCs to go and purchase the cocoa, which is why we're in this problem. Because ideally, Cocoa Board should be buying from the farmers, but Cocoa Board doesn't have money. Mm-hmm. And the foreign buyers do not want to buy Ghana's cocoa because it's expensive. Mm-hmm. And then other countries like Ecuador and then Cameroon, they deal directly with the off-takers. So they don't have to pass through an intermediary and pay them more before they can get the cocoa. If you go to Ecuador today, you can get cocoa at $3,000 per ton.
Right.
So that's the main problem. Ghana doesn't have, Cocoa Board doesn't have money. The foreign buyers do not want to buy Ghana's cocoa because it's expensive. So now today's meeting, we foresee a few things happening. Now, the most pragmatic solution would be to cut the farm gate price. But we know how politics work, and then,
well, that would be what any reasonable human being would do.
I mean, that's the pragmatic solution. Yeah. And then again, that's from the government side because government doesn't have enough money to buy the cocoa beans. But then if you cut the farm gate price, farmers will be disadvantaged. So you have to consider the welfare of the farmers. And remember, farmers signed on to the Cocoa Board model because we told farmers that when prices go down, we'll protect you.
Right.
So when prices come up, let us take some of the money, and then when prices go down, we'll protect you. So this is what Cocoa Board is supposed to do in a time like this. So I don't think the government is going to cut the farm gate price. Now, the next best alternative would be for the central government or the finance ministry to give Cocoa Board money to buy from the farmers. Now, again, Ghana doesn't have enough money to be moving around, but this is the next best alternative. Cocoa Board will have to get money from the government to buy from the farmers directly. Now, again, we've made some savings from the appreciation of the cedi with our debt servicing, and we've reported it so many times. So government has some savings from our debt service obligations. Again, gold prices are doing very well. So the government has some savings from gold sales. So the government can channel some of these revenue from the central government's books to Cocoa Board's books to buy from the farmers directly. Now, once Cocoa Board gets the beans, because again, our prices are still very high, Cocoa Board cannot sell it to the foreign markets. So Cocoa Board will have to keep the beans in its warehouses.
But Caleb, our prices are high. The prices on the world market are falling. We are against competition. And why can't government let the farmers understand so they bring down the price so that we do not lose more money, from other sources that can be able to take care of other development projects? I don't get it.
So the cocoa sector is very sensitive. And again, because of the politics around it, because once you reduce the farm gate price, your opponents will use that as capital, and then it can create a mess for the government. So really, no government is going to reduce cocoa prices. But that's a very drastic action. If we hear that today, I mean, it's sustainable for the sector.
It's going to shift the market.
It's going to shift the market. But then again, farmers need to be in the center of all of this, because you have to make sure that the welfare of the farmer is at the center of all of this. So we foresee that when the government provides Cocoa Board with the funds, Cocoa Board can decide to keep the beans or hoard it. Once Cocoa Board keeps the beans, you are shorting the markets. Once you short the markets, the price of cocoa should go up, and Cocoa Board can decide to sell the beans on the markets again and make some profits.
Is it possible that the price of cocoa could go above the 5,000, when that short in the market comes up?
It's highly unlikely, because the entire market now is seeing a surplus.
Right.
Now, Cote d'Ivoire, they are producing a lot these days.
Exactly.
Ecuador is also producing a lot. And Nigeria, Cameroon, too, they are producing. So the entire market is producing.
It's saturated.
The weather conditions, again, are very good. And then if you hear from Cocoa Board speaking earlier, they projected about 610,000 metric tons this season, which is going to be one of Ghana's highest in about the past 4 years.
Right.
So the market knows that there's cocoa beans. So if you are hoarding the cocoa beans, it might create some, price increments in the short run, but then the market players know that there's cocoa. They'll still hold back their funds. And so in the short run, this shouldn't really do too much.
It doesn't work.
So the next best alternative, and we heard this from Felix yesterday when you spoke, that there's going to be more value addition. So now we foresee that when Cocoa Board gets the beans when Cocoa Board gets funds from the central government and buys the beans from the farmers, Cocoa Board would in turn give the beans to local processors at a discount. So when they get the money from the government, they buy it at the same farm gauge price, and then sell it to processors at a discount. So we're going to make loss on that side. But once you give it to the processors, they can then grind the beans, make it into paste, and then if they want chocolates and all of that.
For chocolate day.
Add value addition and then export it later
Right.
on. So it's more about understanding how the government is going to move the money around and where the money is coming from.
Right.
Because we do not foresee the government reducing farm gauge prices.
Right.
But then the government will have to give Cocoa Board money to buy from the farm, because farmers are agitating. And you have to make sure farmers are happy. Otherwise, this entire Cocoa Board model will fall apart.
Very, very difficult times for government, but we wait to see what the finance minister has in store. Thank you so much, Caleb Ziblim, for that update. Well, let's go to my colleague, James Ashen, who's monitoring affairs at the ministry. James, how are things shaping up, and has the address started yet?
No, so Malesi, the meeting itself has not started yet, but preparations at the finance ministry, they're almost complete. Stakeholders from various, the cocoa value chain, including officials, Cocoa Board, and line, summer 10 or started on live now. At the moment, that by the finance, Dr. has not yet begun, as earlier mentioned, but we are seeing heightened that the technical setting up and security tightening around the study. The expectation is that the minister will outline sweeping reforms aimed at tackling the sector's growing debt burden, improving financing arrangements, and also, addressing the recent challenges for state cocoa purchases. There is also a strong anticipation among industry players here, especially after these concerns were raised by the farmers and also by us in recent weeks about liquidity constraints and also the impact on their production, basically. But many here on my engagement are also looking forward to a clear policy direction, particularly on how government plans to stabilize Cocoa Board finances and also restore confidence in the cocoa sector. So, as we speak, the minister is not in yet, but we'll keep monitoring, and I understand the meeting itself will be starting in the next 30 minutes.
Right. Thank you very much, James Ashen, is a man on the ground there. Well, moving on, we do politics now. The opposition New Patriotic Party says it is ready to snatch the Ayasu East constituency seat from the NDC. The seat became vacant following the demise of former Member of Parliament Nasir Toure. And as campaign heats up ahead of the March 3 by-election, Director of Elections of the NPP, Evans Nimako, believes the party's message to constituents will do the trick and earn them the seat. He spoke earlier on JoyNews Desk.
The new Patriotic Party is on the ground. We are engaging with the people of Ayawaso East. We are selling our candidates. You see Baba Ali to them. He is known as the homeboy. He is liked by the people. We are praying to the Almighty God that come March 3, 2026, the good people of Ayawaso East will see the need to vote for the candidate sponsored by the new Patriotic Party to represent them in Parliament and ensure that we will have, as a democracy, a growing and developed constituency in this region. So, New Patriotic Party is very confident that if you look at the manner with which the constituents came together to select and acclaim our candidate, it tells you how we are as a united front to prosecute this agenda. I must say that I'm very confident that the mood of the people, the leadership of the party in the constituency, support from the regional party and national party, the New Patriotic Party is ready, and very much ready to go into the contest and snatch the seat. We are only appealing to the IGP and his men and women to ensure that we will have a very peaceful environment for EC to conduct this all-important exercise.
Well, 5 candidates are vying for the seat. Balloting ended a few minutes ago. Stephen Mensah joins me live from the EC Greater Accra Regional Office where the balloting just ended. Stephen, take us through the process and the positions of each candidate.
Mami, as you rightly mentioned, the balloting just ended some few minutes ago, and some pretty interesting names on the ballot paper for the Ayawaso East by-election on March 3. I'll be taking you through the names. So Baba Jamal is number 1 on the ticket of the NDC for the March 3 by-elections. He'll be followed closely by Ibrahim Idrisu of the LPG party. Then comes the NPP's Baba Ali Yusuf. He will be number 3 on the party. Then some pretty interesting names, as I mentioned. Umar Sanda, an independent candidate, on the ballot paper also for the March 3 by-elections. Also an independent candidate will be Kano David. He is also on the ticket for, he's also on the ballot paper for the March 3 by-elections. We've been speaking to the Greater Accra Regional Director of the Electoral Commission, and she tells us that all candidates have successfully been cleared and they fulfilled all requirements needed by the EC for the March 3 by-elections.
Thank you very much. That interesting name, Umar Sanda. I'm wondering whether it's my colleague journalist, Umar Sanda, but we'll get to know later on. Moving on, imagine commuting to school each day along a road where every passing vehicle kicks up clouds of red dust. For residents, students and staff of Ashesi University, one of the tertiary institutions along the Kwabenya-Brekusu-Kitase stretch, this is a daily reality. Despite repeated assurances from successive governments, they lament that the road situation remains the same. Palafori has more in today's edition of Roads of Peril.
Perched in the beautiful mountainous landscape of Brekusu, Eastern Region, is Ashesi University. Surrounded by lush green vegetation, the campus blends seamlessly into the natural contours of the hills. But beyond the serene aerial view and the 0.84 kilometers of tarred road constructed by the school, which ushers visitors and the university community directly to the campus, lies a different story. The primary access road, a 20.1 stretch from Dome to Kitase, intended to serve as a vital link between the Greater Accra region and the Eastern region, has become a hazard to road users. In Brekusu, where the school has been for the past 15 years, every passing vehicle lifts clouds of fine red-brown dust into the air. Caspar Ani, the Director of Logistics and Facilities Management at Ashesi University, articulates a grave concern shared by many.
A lot of the students commuting to this place suffer a lot. A lot of us workers, we are not here in Brekuso. We commute from various parts of Accra. We are here and we are suffering, actually. You see, one other thing that disturbs me, an amount of dust that they inhale. I'm even afraid for them, health-wise. This may lead to a lot of respiratory problems in the future.
The ripple effect of the dust is all-consuming. It settles everywhere. Shops, schools, homes, and clinics are never truly clean. Nothing is spared. The frustration extends beyond the university. Traditional authorities say the situation has persisted for far too long. Nana Osai Sechi II is the Chidomhene and Asabihene of Brekusu Ikuapem.
The health problems. Just yesterday, my son was sick, so I took him to Brekusu Healthcare. And the nurse in charge said, Nana, 90% of the kids that are coming here has lungs problem because of the dust. So we should do something about it. What can we do? All we can do is just plead with the government to just come on our aid. You could see there's a school bus coming, it's carrying 2 children. You can ask all of them. I remember my little girl said, Daddy, just tell President Mahama, if nothing at all, he should do the road for her, my 6-year-old girl. So we are just pleading with the government that this time around, it should not be a promise again. We know Mahama is a listening government.
His friend, a contractor, shares his own experience on the road.
I don't know what Brekusu town, the people have done. You know, it's just about 15 minutes drive to Kwabenya. And I don't see why we can't fix this road. And it also goes to Kitase. I think fixing this road will be, it will benefit the town, yes. And also it will help the school.
On my right is the Kwabenya Road, and on my left is the Kitasi Road that takes you all the way to Ibri. Now you can use about 5 or 10 minutes to get to the main Ibri Road, but the bad nature of the stretch means the drivers are compelled to use the main Madina Road to get to the same destination.
While religious and cultural beliefs are increasingly shaping how communities understand climate change, and in some cases making adaptation efforts more difficult. In parts of northern Ghana, erratic rainfall, prolonged droughts, and rising temperatures are often interrupted or interpreted through spiritual lenses, creating a gap between science and tradition. And this climate evidence series from the Gushegu municipality we explore how religious leaders and residents are navigating climate change and the growing need to bridge belief and science for effective climate action.
Northern Ghana is undoubtedly a crop farming part of the country, where about 70% of the people living there are crop farmers. These farmers cultivate crops such as maize, groundnut, yam, millet, and many others, and they largely depend on rainfall for the growth of their crops. Many people have different views and understanding when there is erratic rainfall, rising temperatures, floods, prolonged droughts, and storms. Some view it as a divine making and needs divine intervention, whereas others see it as a result of climate change effects. We engage some religious leaders in the Gushegu municipality of the northern Ghana to seek their understanding and views on climate change effects.
Kabazo ungle bakanata page mutudashi ko o bonu po bi ko bomara nti tangbano katenye sa.
They employ we the Christian body, especially the pastors, to pray and ask for God's intervention in these issues. Same to our brothers in the Muslim communities. The imams are also called upon to come and pray. we also believe with the interventions of God. So we pray. And then sometimes I quite remember one time they called upon us, and then we entered the community. We wanted to preach to them, and then they told us that this is their problem, that their farmers, the rains are not coming. If only we can pray for the rains to come, then they will accept our message or our preaching. And then we stood there, prayed, and then that same moment, about an hour or two, the rain started coming.
That party. When
the severe drought happened, the community chief and his subordinates were sleepless, so they invited everyone in the community and the Muslim leaders to come together and pray for the rain. We prayed for about 3 times, and finally, the rains came through divine intervention.
Some residents of the Bushegu municipality also share some impacts and effects of climate change on their farmlands and their lives, and call on government and other organizations to support them.
Women here are mostly crop farmers. Unfortunately, we did not get good harvest this year due to the climate change effects. Even our men did not get good yields with the maize plantation due to the low rainfall. We are appealing to the government and organizations to support the rural communities, particularly on farming and provision of potable water.
Despite having a religious perspective of climate change effects, some of the religious leaders accept the scientific way of addressing climate change effects in the country, and also adopt some measures to help address the issues of climate change in the country.
Our activities are a major source of the climate change we are experiencing, especially in the North. Why am I saying that? Because I have seen that there is an indiscriminate cutting down of trees, especially in this northern part.
They educate us on some causes of erratic rainfall and high rising temperatures and others. Again, in our own observation, we realized that at the time we used to have more trees, we used to have better rainfall than now. These are some evidence of the trees we planted, given to us by some individuals. We even planted some trees around our shrine.
There is a need to gain the trust of the locals through collaborative knowledge sharing activity, awareness creation on climate change, and provide scientifically based evidence of climate change. This will help to attain the National Adaptation Plan on integrating local indigenous knowledge to ensure effective climate adaptation, as well as the nationally determined contributions (NDCs) on fostering social inclusion. This will help to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 13, climate action, and Sustainable Development Goal 17, partnerships for the goals. For Joy News, Mohammed Kayaba.
This story is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with CDKN Ghana, University of Ghana Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, with funding from CLARE R4I Opportunities Fund.
This is Joy News Today. We'll take a break and return with more.
Many thanks for staying with us. It's time for business. I am Michelle Lejukum. Now, the provisional data from the Ghana Statistical Service suggests a slow GDP growth of 4.2% in November 2025 compared to 7.1% in the same period 2024. Services sector was the biggest contributor to aggregate production of goods and services, recording a growth of 6.7%. On the contrary, the industry sector growth slowed sharply to 0.4% compared to 6.2% in the same period 2024. Now, government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrisu cited the decline in oil and gas industry as a strong reason for the decline in the industry.
The monthly indicator of economic growth index for November 2025 is 122.7. up from 117.7 recorded in November 2024. What does this mean? It means that overall economic activity in Ghana was 4.2% higher in November 2025 than in the same month in the previous year. This 4.2% is what we call the growth rate from the MEC index. In plain language, Ghana produced 4.2% more goods and services in November 2025 than it did 1 year earlier. It is important to note that the MEC is not seasonally adjusted, since we don't yet have a longer series to enable deseasonalization. The agriculture sector recorded a growth rate of 4.1% in November 2025, compared to a growth rate of 3.8% in November 2024. The agriculture sector contributed 32.4% to the overall growth rate of 4.2% recorded in November 2025. The improvement in growth in agriculture actually is reflecting stronger performance in fisheries and crop production. Agriculture, as we know, is naturally seasonal, but the data shows a steady upward trend over the past 2 years. This tells us that the sector remains resilient and continues to support food supply and rural incomes. Let's turn to industry. The picture is more subdued when we look at the performance in the industrial sector. Industry grew by 0.4% in November 2025, contributing 2.5% to the overall growth of 4.2% in November 2025. This is a slowdown, especially if you compare it to the 6.2% growth recorded in November 2024.
Away from that, country lead, who is also the CEO of Sanlam Alliance Life Insurance, Teria Ben Ahmed, has announced that the company will prioritize claims payment this year, leveraging on technological advancements to enhance insurance coverage nationwide. This, he says, forms part of the company's effort to transform the insurance industry in Ghana and Africa. Now, speaking to Joy Business, Teria Ben Ahmed emphasized that the importance of insurance in safeguarding tangible and intangible assets, urging industries, individuals and businesses to invest in comprehensive insurance coverage.
2026 is to optimize. We have merged, we have integrated, we have stabilized. Now we are optimizing, and so that is for us. And what does optimization mean? We want to play claims in record time. I mean, one of the important things about insurance, or generally insurance, is a promise to pay claims. That's how I describe insurance. And so when you have paid claims, you really haven't done anything extraordinary in the insurance business, because insurance is just about the promise to pay claims. So what is critical is how you pay the claim, the delightful nature of how you process and pay the claim. And one of the things that we want to do differently in 2026 is to pay claims in a manner that our customers will smile.
How so?
Okay, so it's about the processing, how we handle the claims. It's about the expeditious nature of how the claim hit the customer's account. And I'll give an example. We have a product which is offered to the informal sector market, and that product is sold through USSD. And you know what we've done? We've deployed a solution that enables customers to use USSD to make a claim. And by the time they are done with the process, the claim is paid and it goes back to their wallet. Because we say, you sign on through USSD, you pay premium through mobile money, and look, mobile money has significantly surged in 2025 and is still growing. And therefore, when it is time for claims, you have the same opportunity as well to utilize USSD and then get your claim paid to you via mobile money.
No sort of delay.
No sort of delays at all. And that is a kind of difference that we are bringing, because we believe that client experience or serving sustainable smiles is what will really drive the differentiation that we bring to insurance. Because
that'll be all for business. I am Michelle Lejekum. The small business news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more after this break.
Time now to bring you sports here on Joy News Today with me, Muftar Nabila Abdullah. Kumasi Asante Kodogo supporters chief has called on the faithfuls of the Porcupine Warriors to throw their weight behind the club as they come up against Accra Hearts of Oak on Sunday. Kotoko on Monday had their head coach Abdul Karim Zito resigning from his role as the head of the technical direction of the team. On Wednesday, media reports suggested that supporters had gone to the training ground to sack interim coach Prince Owusu from leading the team, but the supporters chief believed that with the right support thrown behind the players on Sunday, they will be able to secure victory.
This is one of them, the opportunity I've given me to talk to my supporters that no matter what has happened, the club belongs to us, so we should forget about what has happened at the Baba Sports Stadium, the match against Ediana, and concentrate on the match against Accra. We have a record to make. I think it's about 30 years. Kotoko has not beaten Accra back to back. So we have a record to beat on Sunday. Whether we have a coach or we don't have a coach, I think the Prince and other technical staff will help us to beat Accra on Sunday. So I'll take this opportunity to tell our supporters to forget about what has happened and concentrate on the match ahead of us so that we can beat Accra.
And that is your sports for now. We'll do more sports stories on my joyonline.com. Up next is Showbiz.
I am Loishola Adeyemi bringing you Showbiz. Let's get into our stories. Now, with Valentine's Day just 2 days away, love is once again taking center stage. But long before curated playlists, streaming apps, and social media dedications, love in Ghana had a different soundtrack. Decades before contemporary love ballads, pioneering high life musicians were already telling stories of romance, commitment, and heartbreak. On this Throwback Thursday, we revisit 5 musicians whose music helped define love in Ghana long before the modern Valentine era.
One of the earliest voices of love in Ghanaian music was E.T. Mensah, whose high-life compositions captured joy, courtship, and togetherness, setting the foundation for romantic storytelling through music.
All for you, E.T., all for you. All for you, E.T., all for you. I dey wait you, Papa. I dey wait you, Mommy. I dey wait you, Papa. Ooh, all for you.
Dr. K.J.C. brought depth and emotion to love songs, using music to express longing and reconciliation in relationships. Nana Hedu, leader of the African Brothers Band, followed with emotional, rich songs that explored loyalty and unwavering commitment.
Meet me now, meet me now, see me Mama meet me now, see me
Bridging generations is Daddy Lumba, whose early love songs carried forward the emotional storytelling of high life into a new era. Papa Youngson, together with Paulina Odru, delivered one of Ghana's most enduring love duets, celebrating companionship and emotional closeness.
Baby, 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 baby.
Long before Valentine cards and digital playlists, these musicians help Ghana fall in love through music. As Valentine's Day approaches, their songs remain a reminder that there are beautiful love stories in Ghana.
And that's it for Showbiz. I am Lawyer Sholade. I mean, now I've been asked if I have Val's Day. I don't. So, Mame, I'll leave all to you and your lover.
You these girls, you always don't have Valentine's Day. But when it gets to that day, anyway.
They'll show up. They'll show up.
That's all we have for you this afternoon on JoyNews Today. Thanks for your company.
Let's go.